Ready.
Hello friends, I'm Manoj K here, and today we are going to discuss this year's Mains 2023's essay paper. I'm not going to discuss about the approach or how to you can say write in and around the essay. Rather, my approach would be basically to help you to think. See, if you look at this paper, this year's paper, I always say that this paper is number one. It is on the very expected line. On the expected line, in the sense, students were also expecting that some or other way it is going to be on the open-ended topic. You may call it philosophical, you may call it abstract, but it's not very abstract except two topics. You may call it a little bit open-ended. Number one. Number two, you can say, which is my personal opinion, that this year, mark my word, though I hesitate to you can say make any wild comment sort of thing, but this year probably you will find the maximum uneven marking in UPSC. We'll discuss about it. Why I am saying this? Because I am deeply involved with the student in infraction, copy corrections, etc. And this year, it was the first time when more than 200 students approached me from the other institute with the copies. What I realized that almost all the students are writing the same way, whatever the topic comes. So point number one, that the biggest problem or the limitation of the coaching institutes also, we are part of that, and I don't hesitate to accept it, that somewhere we are not helping students to elevate, think, etc. And second very important aspect is basically that most of the time students are trying to create a template where he or she wants to fit in everything. Paper 1, 2, 3, 4, essay, etc. Now, it's not very simple, I tell you. Why I am saying all these things? Because anyone who knows little bit about the GS score, they know it very well that we push very hard for thinking, reflection, articulation, etc. And it's in our DNA. For example, if you look at one topper's copy, you will find this is the second highest in the last year, that copy. You can download more than 300-400 copies from our website itself. Fine. So this is how we used to go for thinking, a sort of thing, what I'm trying to show you. Basically, if you look at these topics, fine, which is already asked and toppers attempted, the good traveler has no fixed plan, and it is not intent on arriving. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. Peace has to be with our mindset, not with our set circumstances. The point is, if you look at this, it's very important the way you practice, the way you think, the way you organize yourself. Probably that will help you to take edge over the others. It's also very important to understand that whether it is ethics, essay, these papers are very slow by nature, by design, etc. So always give little bit time. It's slow. Don't try to finish it in 15 days or 20 days or post preliminary examination. It will cost you very high. Make it very simple, very light, good mentorship, slow, gradual, incremental progress is what you will witness in these papers. So let's come to the point. So I was talking about this, my simple one sentence or one line comment on this papers, this year's paper is basically very simple, that this paper is basically demands a good thinking, clarity in thinking, very good articulation, that's it, nothing else. I don't want to go into the nature of the topic, whether it is easy or tough or anything else, but mark my word that this year you will find that students are getting the most uneven marking pattern, most uneven. You will find this year it will cross 150, 160, or it may touch 170 also, and the lower side also. It will butcher like anything. And just because of one thing, that students stop thinking, and everything becoming in a very typical, what is called template GV. Template GV in the sense, we have created one fit for all approach where we want to fit in everything. So please take care of this. And in today's session, we will have interaction where I will force you to think, how to think around a topic. That's it, nothing else. This is what the purpose is. So let's start. Fine. So the first topic is here. Thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. So what is this topic is all about? Fine. So in essence, this topic emphasizes intellectual growth, how intellectual growth happens, about the critical thinking, and critical thinking are simulated in which when individuals are exposed to diverse opinion, perspective, argument, etc. This is what it is saying. Thinking is like a game. Fine. It does not begin unless there is a opposite team. So opposite is here simply means that what you are thinking and around what content, what idea, what perspective you are thinking. So is it thinking in vacuum, or you are thinking with reference to something? This is what the crux of you can say the question is, and how it stimulates the intellectual growth. This is what the topic is. Now what you have to do, you have to think through certain questions with me. How to develop critical thinking. Developing critical thinking in the essay is basically when you have to make a dialogue with the topic. That's it. This is how you start thinking. If you are not getting any clue, any idea, you start with the keywords itself, thinking around the keywords. I always say that essay is basically of you can say two components. Essay has two components. Number one, content, and number two, crafting. You don't go for crafting until unless you are very sure about the content, about the thinking, about the dimensions, about the critical thinking, etc. It's a slow process. So you can start with the keyword itself, and then you start making more sense out of certain things, and gradually you start seeing a big picture around this topic. So always the first thing first, what is the issue is basically big picture should come in your mind. Central theme you have to identify. So how do we do this? Let's do it with me. Fine. So just I'm moving from this place. Just see the topic and think around it. Fine. So how do we think? We think around this by asking certain questions. For example, what is the role? How do you think? You think around certain questions like this. How does engaging with opposing viewpoint or ideas enhance one's critical thinking abilities? Number two, can you think of a real life example where intellectual growth was spurred by the class of opposing perspective? What are the benefit of considering multiple sides of an argument or issue? How does presence of an opposite team in thinking contribute to the development of rounded options? Again, my dear friends, think around it. Just look at the topic. That's why I'm not in front of this topic and you. I'm inside. Just look at the topic and think through questions, think through keywords. Try to understand the big picture. Try to understand the central theme through certain questions. So you can ask the question, how can educational institution, workplace encourage an environment where diverse thinking and opposing viewpoints are valued, etc. Fine. So this is how you explore the topic in the first 2, 3, 4 minutes. So you talk to the topic, you make dialogue with the topic, you discuss, you explore, and then you can say then you go for the dimensions. Fine. So here in this topic you have to simply think around you can say 4 or 5 ideas around which you will develop your essay. Number 1, so the first thing first is the nature of thinking. How do we think? What we think? Just think of it. So on day-to-day basis, how do we make perspective, opinion around certain things? Right? Then the second point is basically about the role of opposing ideas. What is this opposing idea? From where it comes? Do we give a space to the opposing ideas or not? Fine. Then obviously the consequences of it. You do or you don't. You give a space to the opposing idea or you don't. And then you have to come to the next, the challenges and benefit of it. Then we are human being, so cognitive bias is obvious. So how do we check our cognitive bias? If we don't give the space to the opposing views, perspective, opinion, etc., and we think around it, basically we live through our cognitive bias and we don't do anything to correct it. So this is also a point where you should write. And then simply you can conclude here. Conclude, there are several examples. Post-truth is example, day-to-day life is example, persuasion is example, election is example. There are several examples, full of examples. Conformity is example, obedience is example, internalization is example, through which you can explore several examples, and wherever it is relevant you can fit in, and then you can conclude. In conclusion also you can simply talk about that the importance of you can say how intellectual growth happens, fine, and what are the impediments, how we can overcome it, and you can cite example briefly. That's it, nothing else. My point is basically here briefly, we are going to discuss in the class also very detailed, and we'll do the practice also, so don't worry for that. This is what the GCSE score is known for, whether it is paper 2, paper 3 or XYZ. So we always try to intend, or we can say we intend and we always try to trigger the thinking, how you should capture the thought process, etc. So my first point is here that while answer writing, what happens that most of the time you will find the students are writing more and more, and sometimes they feel frustrated that nothing is happening. Try to understand one thing. When you write answers, whether it is paper 1, essay, paper 4 or optional or anything else, what you do, you simply capture your thought process. You simply capture your thought process. And that's why I say that making a template or becoming a template GV will cost very high. And you will see this. Last year also you might have seen. You might have seen this. Fine. And the copy which I just opened it here itself. She is the second highest scorer this year, and she writes well. And probably this is how we engage. But let's come to the second point or the second topic. Fine. This is the second topic. So second topic says visionary decision making happens at the intersection of intuition and logic. Intuition and logic. Fine. So again, you have to think with me. So what are the 3 keywords? Number 1, fine, intersection. Number 2, and number 3. It is, I think, a little bit tough topic because everyone is not worked enough to write in and around the intuition. Candidates may be very good in writing in and around the logic or visionary decision making. There are several examples through which they can get the reference. But when it comes to intuition, probably I think there are certain limitations because of the template. Once you start creating templates during the practice, during discussion, during class, you yourself block everything. So in the examination hall, what you do? You simply capture your thought process, the way brain you have trained the brain. So you don't work, rather your brain works. Once you are done to write, you cannot think, you are not allowed to think because the time is so less. So less. So what you do, you capture your reflection very quick. And so always think, start around thinking the keywords. But don't write the keywords. Just one paragraph is enough. I am saying this session also is all about thinking. This is what the main examination is all about. Try to understand. And this is why you will find that students, those who are putting hard labor between preliminary examination and main examination, and if the enough is not done, they struggle very hard. बहुत कम समय होता है, इसलिए जो भी करना है इस ड्यूरेशन में करना है जहां पे आप थोड़े कंफर्ट में हैं, पीस में हैं, आप अपने पेस के हिसाब से चीज़ों को तय कर सकते हैं. यू कैन मेक योर स्ट्रेटजी comfortably. So this is how you should think. Let's talk about these three keywords. Fine. So the first keyword is visionary decision making. Here visionary decision simply means the act of making choices that are innovative. This is what visionary means. That are far reaching. Means far reaching, someone is able to see. Capable of shaping the future. So in the visionary decision making, you will find in the business, in the sports, in the political leadership, who shape the future of the society, country, etc. You will find the example of visionary leadership. Fine. Let's take the example for Lee Kuan itself, Singapore. Fine. Far reaching. I don't want to talk about the you can say Martin Luther King or Gandhi. In any case, you can you must have written like this. But I am talking about some other. Lee Kuan is one of the example of it, where you will find innovation in thinking. You will find far-reaching consequences in the thinking. You will find capable of shaping the future. So this is what is mean by it. Fine. Then the second keyword is intuition. When we say intuition is basically ability to understand and know something without the need for conscious reasoning. So in the intuition, conscious reasoning is absent. So you make sense through, you can say through gut feelings, through personal instincts, or you can say making some sort of insight based on certain evidences, etc. But conscious reasoning is absent. Now, once we have these three keywords and the meaning, we have developed a meaning around it, then the next question is again, start making a dialogue with it, thinking, so that you can be sure what this topic is all about. So that you can be sure that what kind of content you have. You can be sure whether you should go for it or not. Because if you are not very sure, you can return back and you have lost only 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So thinking around the keywords serves a big purpose. It doesn't simply gives you the opportunity to create dimensions. It also helps you to reassure whether you have enough content or not. During practice, you can go for it and you can make many mistakes. But in the examination, you cannot afford to do so. So again, we'll do the same process. मैं बीच से हटता हूँ. आप टॉपिक को देखो और टॉपिक के साथ just start making a conversation with the topic. Again, I am saying you, how do you make conversation? Just think around the keywords, topics. It has to be a free thinking. Don't force your brain that it should be very, very specific. Now, this is not the way brain works in the first go. It works with the reflections. So let it be like this only, fine. So you can say start thinking around the topic. So here the first question can be simply you can ask what is the role of intuition in the decision making process and how does it complement logical reasoning. You just think, can you provide example of leaders, visionary who have successfully combined intuition and logic in their decision making? How does intuition differ from gut feeling? This is very important. That's why I told you that anyone who does not understand the intuition very well, and one cannot write this, because intuition is not simply about the feeling. It's not about feeling. It's one of the greatest quality of the leadership also, because everything you cannot see or you cannot realize only on the basis of the objectivity, reasoning, etc. So you can talk about the situations. Might logical analysis alone be insufficient for making decisions, and that's why intuition becomes very, very important and great quality of the great leaders, organizations, etc. Fine. And so you can think around certain examples. So this is the first task that I'm trying to teach you what you should do, and then comes the points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cannot write more than 5 or 6 dimension maximum, because if you in any case you have to go deeper, you have to give depth, because that is what gives you the edge over the others. That is what gives you the edge over the others. So it's very important that you create a space, you create dimensions, you create idea around which you can analyze, you can go for critical thinking, and doing this you are still controlled and making a measured communication. This is what is needed. Fine. So in any case you should start writing by explaining the examiner what does it mean by intuition, logic, etc. Fine. Number 2, then you can think of the decision making and role of intuition into it, and decision making and role of logic, reasoning, etc. Fine. Very important aspect where you will get edge over the others is the intersection point in the decision making. What is the intersection point? Intersection. When you don't have the sufficient reasoning, and even if you have, you are not ready to believe it, and then you want to test your intuition also, or you want to test certain things through your intuition also. So this is where it is important. Fine. And then briefly you can conclude. Here you cannot create some 10 dimensions, 5 dimensions. 3, 4 dimensions are enough, because you have to talk about the decision making, that's it. And in the decision making you have to fit in these 2 things, that's it, nothing else, nothing else. So this is how you should start thinking. Third is topic. Very easy. Easy in the sense, if you are thinking mind, it's easy, very easy. And this is something I have means if you allow me, I can make a claim that anyone, if you download from our website the test copies of the toppers, you will find that more of the 50% topics are very close in terms of design, in terms of thinking. Because if you have to push the students to you can say, or allow students to evolve through the thinking, so it's our responsibility also that what kind of questions we are framing. What is the design of the test? What is the design of the discussion? How do we interact? This all depends that whether we are allowing students to evolve or not. Fine. So let's come to the topic. So this topic again, it's basically talks about the unconventional way to do certain things. It talks about uncertainty. Uncertainty. Here it says, not all who wonders are lost. Wonders, it simply does not mean the physical. It may be physical also, but it's also about exploring certain things. You also wonder, we also wondered, and now in the days of the social media, everyone is wondering, especially the Maggie generation, who wants everything in 2 minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fine, you have reduced your life to the reels and shorts. So you explore, wondering, but the question is for what? Is it really it serve the purpose, or you are lost? But then there are many who is wondering, fine, exploring, but they are not lost. Who are they? Where do you find? What makes them different from the others? This is what the topic is. This is what the topic is. So simply you have to do, you can say very simple. Number one, start writing with concept of wondering. What does wondering mean here? The first thing first you should discuss. Through the interpreting the quote. Fine. Second very important point, what you should write is basically the importance of embracing uncertainty. Importance of embracing uncertainty. This is what the topic is more about. Fine. And when anybody does this, then how they learn through their experiences. Here is the element of creativity, innovation, etc. Fine. So whether it is Elon Musk, or you can say Steve Jobs, etc., you will find they keep on exploring. Embrace the uncertainty, and in that uncertainty gather the experience, and with these experience they bring the creativity, innovation in terms of certain products, in terms of certain services, in terms of anything for that matter. Fine. You can relate it with the you can say life choices. You can relate it with the career also. Fine. For example, you will find many people used to wander throughout their career from this place to that place, this organization to that organization, etc. Ultimately, it reaches nowhere. Nowhere. Because when you are wondering, the question is, this question is basically, it is attached with the purpose. Simply exploring. आप explore कर रहे हैं अपने आप को. Fine. But if the purpose is not very clear, probably you will not gather the experience that may help you. Fine. So this is you can say what the topic is. Fine. Let's move to the another topic. A very easy topic. Let me. Probably, I think most of the students might have attempted this in the section B. ज़्यादातर students ने शायद इसको attempt किया होगा, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. So it says girls are weighed down by the restrictions, boys with demand to equally harmful disciplines. But I tell you one thing, when most of the students write the same topic, then this examination becomes a little bit tougher, because there you are going to test the real competition, because as far as competent candidates are concerned, everyone is at par when it comes to the information. So information will not help you to take the edge. Thinking, perspective, your ability to capture the thought process probably will help you to take the edge. वही आपको एज देने में हेल्प करेगा, जो आपकी थिंकिंग है, थॉट प्रोसेस को कैप्चर करने का तरीका है. बाकी सारी चीज़ें नहीं करेंगे. This you can say I realized in the classroom itself, and that's why you can say last 4 or 5 years almost, we are pushing very hard for the worksheets. रिफ्लेक्टिव एक्सरसाइज, वी कॉल इट रिफ्लेक्टिव एक्सरसाइज इन आवर इंस्टीट्यूट। और मैं उसको बहुत पुश करता हूँ स्टूडेंट्स को कि गो फॉर रिफ्लेक्टिव एक्सरसाइज, गो फॉर रिफ्लेक्टिव एक्सरसाइज। If you see my class discussion, I always say spare some 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's it, nothing more than that. And think around the topics. Probably it will help you to groom. It will help you to evolve. It will allow you to grow intellectually, so that you can tackle these kind of topics. These kind of topic demands more skill set than the information knowledge. और स्किल सेट्स की स्ट्रेटजी होगी डेवलप करने के लिए, तभी आप कर पाएंगे इसको। क्योंकि अक्सर स्टूडेंट्स पूछते हैं कि कैसे लिखें, क्या लिखें। कंटेंट तो बहुत आसान है बताना है, स्किल सेट्स आप प्रैक्टिस करके ही इवॉल्व हो सकते हो। खास करके तब आपको जब ये पता हो कि वो टूल कौन सा है, वो मेथोडोलॉजी कौन सी है जिसको हम अप्लाई करेंगे और हम अपने आप को हेल्प करेंगे इवॉल्व करने के लिए। लेट्स कम टू द पॉइंट। सो दिस क्वेश्चन convey the idea that traditional society's expectations and the norms often impose different types of pressures. So this topic is nothing but it talks about, you can say, socialization. It talks about social norms. It talks about society's expectations, etc. Right? So this is what this topic is all about. How to write? What are the dimensions? What are the ideas? What are the examples that you can capture? Is very simple, but making arrangements, ordering those points, and every dimension, every point, every idea should be complete in itself. That is going to be tested. You are likely to be tested for that point only, because in these type of topics, there is no dearth of information. You will have information, enough information, and you will write like anything. लेकिन आप उसको समेटते कैसे हैं, एक सेंस ऑफ कंप्लीशन कैसे लाते हैं, ऑर्डरिंग कैसे करते हैं, लॉजिकल कोरिलेशंस कैसे होते हैं, दैट विल गिव यू द एज ओवर द अदर्स। एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई से दैट यू विल फाइंड दिस ईयर द मोस्ट ऑफ द अनइवन मार्किंग सिस्टम, पैटर्न, नॉट सिस्टम रेदर पैटर्न। आप देख लेना इस बार, सारे पेपर में आपको दिख जाएगा इस बार। क्योंकि वो पेपर पूरी की पूरी अगर आप देखें मेंस की पेपर, तो वो एक थिंकिंग की तरफ बेंट हो रही है, जबकि प्रिपरेशन जो है उसके जस्ट अपोजिट है, वो टेम्पलेट की तरफ जा रही है। फाइन। तो बड़ा पैराडॉक्स है, इट्स अ बिग पैराडॉक्स। द वन साइड वी ऑल आर बिकमिंग टेम्पलेट जीवी, अनदर साइड दे आर फोर्सिंग अस टू बिकम, यू कैन से, एंड थिंक मोर एंड सी एवरीथिंग थ्रू द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ द क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग। तो वो बहुत बड़ा गैप है, बहुत बड़ा गैप है। फाइन, लेट्स कम बैक टू द पॉइंट। सो दिस टॉपिक इज बेसिकली अबाउट Number 1, you should write gender specific expectations. Fine. जब gender specific expectations होंगी तो उसका गर्ल्स पे क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा? गर्ल्स पे इम्पैक्ट होगा साहब, और उस इम्पैक्ट को आप देख सकते हैं। उसमें सोशल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस होंगी, फॉर एग्जांपल लिमिटेड एजुकेशन अपॉर्चुनिटी होगी, रिस्ट्रिक्शंस ऑन करियर चॉइसेस होंगे, कल्चर नॉर्म्स रिलेटेड टू द ड्रेस एंड बिहेवियर आपको दिखेगा। सेकेंड पॉइंट इज बेसिकली, इफ दिस इज द केस देन व्हाट वुड बी द कंसेक्वेंसेस। उसके कंसेक्वेंसेस सोशल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस के आपको कहाँ दिखेंगे? वो रिस्ट्रिक्शंस आपको दिखेंगे लिमिटेड सेल्फ एक्सप्रेशन, बिकॉज यू हैव लिमिटेड, द सोशल नॉर्म इज ट्राइंग टू लिमिट समथिंग। ये पर्सनल ग्रोथ में भी कंसेक्वेंसेस दिखेंगे, reinforcement of gender stereotype में दिखेगा आपको। फाइन। Similarly, you have to talk about the social demand on boys, fine, and the consequences, fine. Then you should go for critical thinking, and critical thinking comes where you start, you can say, writing in and around the equality. You start writing around the breaking the stereotypes. And then the last, you have to write overcoming harmful disciplines. हम उसको ओवरकम कैसे कर सकते हैं, गुड प्रैक्टिसेस कहाँ हैं, रोल ऑफ एजुकेशन कहाँ होंगे, रोल मॉडल्स का इंपॉर्टेंस क्या है लाइफ में, एटसेट्रा। फाइन। So this is how you have to you can say, you can talk about the social control, you can talk about the importance of the social control, but at the same time you have to talk about the problems related to the social control also. This is where the thinking is, and then you come to the conclusion. So this is what the question is all about. This topic is a very easy topic, I can say. शायद मुझे लगता है कि अगर पूरे टॉपिक में अगर आप देखो तो सबसे आसान है. सबसे डिफ़िकल्ट टॉपिक जो है वो है मैथमेटिक्स इज़ द म्यूज़िक ऑफ रीज़न. मैथमेटिक्स is the music of reason. So it is the toughest topic. और ये टफ इसलिए है क्योंकि अगर आप मैथमेटिक्स को एक पैटर्न में नहीं देखते हैं, एक लैंग्वेज में नहीं देखते हैं, एक यूनिवर्सल लैंग्वेज में नहीं देखते हैं, तो आप म्यूज़िक से उसको कोरिलेट नहीं कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि म्यूज़िक में एक पैटर्न है. देयर इज़ अ पैटर्न. म्यूज़िक यूनिवर्सली समझा जा सकता है मतलब उसकी पैटर्न को. कई बार आपको लिरिक्स नहीं भी समझ में आती है तो भी आप उसके म्यूज़िक को सुन के, उसकी रिदम को सुन के, यू फील हैप्पी अबाउट इट, यू मेक सम सेंस आउट ऑफ इट. So these kind of topic they have started touching. You can imagine to what extent UPSC is going. उस पॉइंट को यूपीएससी टच करना स्टार्ट कर दिया. अगर आज से 2 साल 3 साल 4 साल पहले के 3 साल पहले के क्वेश्चंस को देखें, यूपीएससी वाज नेवर गोइंग टू द टॉपिक लाइक मैथमेटिक्स इज द म्यूजिक ऑफ रीजंस. नेवर एवर. सो वहां तक वो पहुंच गई है जहां पे बिल्कुल ही एब्स्ट्रैक्ट थिंकिंग के टॉप पे है. वो टॉप पे है. 1 or 2 topics are really very easy and every year they give the same and every one attempts, but that's not the issue. The issue is basically that what they want to test and what kind of skill sets you have to acquire, to develop, so that you can take care of UPSC's requirement. Fine. So let's come to the point. So it says a society has more justice is a society that needs less charity. A very simple, straightforward topic. This topic basically suggests that when a society prioritizes and achieves higher level of justice, fairness, equitable opportunities for its member, then there is less requirement of immediate services. Charity is immediate. Charity is short term. Charity is voluntary, but there is a purpose. Why you do so? Why you do so? Charity कैसे देते हैं भाई? एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन को दे दिया, अस्पताल में एक बेड लगवाने के लिए दे दिया. फाइन. इसका मतलब है कहीं पे कोई ना कोई प्रॉब्लम है. फाइन. एक बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है जिसको चैरिटी से कोई इंडिविजुअल या ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एड्रेस करना चाहती है. फाइन. दिस स्टेटमेंट basically highlights the idea that charity, while important for addressing immediate needs and providing relief, often deals with the symptom of the larger systemic problems. So this topic can be discussed around certain ideas, certain dimensions. This may be number 1, define justice and charity, and role of justice and charity in the society. Then justice as a preventive measure. Why do we need justice? Because if any society has to become a just society, justice is the foundation of it. John Rawls says that justice is the first virtue. Justice simply means fairness. one should get what is their due. But if someone is not getting what is their due, then charity is needed. Charity is needed. But charity is often voluntary. जस्टिस नहीं होने के challenges, limitations क्या है? When we think, when we find, when we observe that there is an absence of justice in the society, where it leads to, where it manifests, what are the consequences of it? What are the consequences of it? Then try to look at the historical perspective from it, and then lastly go for the future prospect. But future prospect में justice को हम देखते हैं इसमें से, and that's it. It's a very simple topic. This is what is needed. Here you don't have to write that charity is not needed. Charity is not needed because what is the topic? A society that has more justice is a society that needs less charity. So charity is okay, but basically when you create opportunity, equity, then probably this is required less. Voluntary बहुत लोग करना चाहते हैं, करेंगे, लेकिन इसकी जरूरत कम पड़ती है. इसकी जरूरत कम पड़ती है. So this is what the topic is, and wonderful topic. Last topic I can say. एक अच्छा टॉपिक है. काफ़ी स्टूडेंट्स ने इसको अटेम्प्ट किया होगा, मुझे लगता है इसको. सो इट सेज एजुकेशन इज व्हाट रिमेन्स आफ्टर वन हैज़ फॉरगॉटन व्हाट वन हैज़ लर्नड इन स्कूल. फाइन. So it talks about simply one thing, that the true value of education is not limited to the knowledge. This is what the topic is all about. I repeat, the true value of education is not limited to the knowledge and facts acquired during formal schooling. This is what the crux is. So instead it implies that the essence of the education lies in enduring critical thinking abilities, life lessons. Fine. It develops leadership quality, critical thinking, etc. This is what the larger purpose of the education is. This is what the question talks about. Even in the NEP, you will find it pushes the boundary of the schools. कि वो क्लासरूम में सिर्फ मैथमेटिक्स और अलजेब्रा और लैंग्वेज और ग्रामर तक ही नहीं रहना चाहिए. वो विजुअलाइजेशन, इमेजिनेशन वहाँ तक स्टूडेंट को ले जाए. दिस इज व्हाट द टॉपिक इज. सो व्हाट वन शुड राइट हियर. Number one, you should write the concept of the lifelong learning. So this question is basically about the lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. It's not about simply one or two things. Lifelong learning. Like one or two things in the sense, इसको सिर्फ socialization के point of view से मत देखना, सिर्फ education के point of view मत देखना. The first thing first is this concept. The whole idea or the essence of this topic is basically concept of lifelong learning. Clear? So it talks about beyond memorization, beyond marks, numbers. Right? So it talks about the importance of the critical thinking, problem solving, visualization, imagination, social emotional learning, etc. Fine. Next, it talks about the character development. Character development. Fine. And then you can talk about in the age of this disruption, when technology is bringing a lot of disruption, how this lifelong learning is required, how this character development becomes a very, very important aspect of the socialization process. This is what the topic is all about. You are likely to be tested for your vision to see the education itself. तुम एजुकेशन को कैसे देखते हो, कैसे कैप्चर करते हो उसको, क्या एग्जाम्पल्स है तुम्हारे पास. इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन 4.0 के नियर अराउंड क्या देख पाते हो, क्या चैलेंजेस हैं उसके. दिस इज व्हाट दिस टॉपिक इज ऑल अबाउट, एंड दिस इज व्हाट यू कैन से यू शुड डेवलप a skill set to handle the abstract ideas, open-ended topics, etc. So this topic or this essay is basically all about this only. Always do remember that essay writing moves around two things: content and crafting. Fine. Content is all about meaning, dimensions, ideas, examples, critical thinking, etc. And crafting is basically what you do with it, arrangement, paragraphing, signposting, means giving the direction, etc. In any case, that we will do in the class. Don't worry for that. वो तो class में कर ही रहे हैं और करते ही रहते हैं. And GSS core is in any case it's known for its advanced teaching, especially for the main examination. You will find it, and where we get the extraordinary result also. And we simply facilitate the students that until unless you start developing an analytical bent of mind in the preparation, then probably this examination will remain tough. When we say that this examination is uncertain, what's new? इसमें नया क्या है? बहुत लोगों को कहना है यूपीएससी इज ऑल अबाउट अनसर्टेनिटी. हाँ ठीक है, इसमें नया क्या है? क्या करना है उसका, उस बातचीत का? The question is one and only one, that what to do now. What to do now? A rote learning will not work. Number one, it will not work. A template kind of things will not work. It is going to be disastrous. चाहे उसमें कोचिंग का रोल हो, सोशल मीडिया का रोल हो, नॉइज हो, आपको वो नॉइज कट करनी पड़ेगी प्रिपरेशन के लिए. क्योंकि जब तक आप उस नॉइज में रहेंगे, आप वो नॉइज आपको इन्फ्लुएंस करेगा. एक थिंकिंग माइंड which is required to take IAS examination will not develop. वो डेवलप नहीं हो पाएगा. So don't find a trend or pattern into it. Rather, you simply take it as a message of the UPSC that what they expect from you. It's very easy for me or anybody to give lecture. अभी तो देखोगे बहुत सारे कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट यही भी हैं, ये भी कहेंगे जो पढ़ाया था वही आया. तो कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट के क्लेम का कोई मतलब नहीं है. इट्स मार्केट एंड एवरीबडी विल डू द सेम. जो पढ़ाया था वही आ गया, जो बोला था वही आ गया. ऐसा तो मैंने क्लास में बोला था, तुम देखने गए थे. सो माय लास्ट एंड सिंपल सबमिशन इज, बिफोर आई क्लोज इट, माय सिंपल सबमिशन इज वन एंड ओनली वन, दैट दिस एग्जामिनेशन इज ऑल अबाउट टू थिंग्स, knowledge plus skills. So let's not put everything in a content procurement, because when you go for answer writing, you capture your thought process, and what you do to develop a thought process with great amount of clarity will matter, and that's the only thing that will matter. So please take care about these things to prepare for the main examination. This is all about today's discussion. We'll meet in the classroom and we'll do one-to-one session also for that. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Thank you.